Good morning and welcome. My name is Rachel Browner. I am the program coordinator or one of many program coordinators for our OneOp program. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's session on Securing Tomorrow, Navigating Social Security, Retirement, and Survivor Benefits. In case you're joining us for the first time, I'd like to give a brief tour of our webinar platform so you can find your way around. Hopefully you're currently able to view the slides that we're sharing. If you're unable to see them, or if you have any other difficulties throughout today's session, tech issues, please email us at contact@oneop.org for that tech support. And I'll place that email in the chat here shortly. At this time, we would love to hear from you, those that are on in the chat. And so let us know where you're joining us from. I know a couple of folks have already started typing in that chat. And so please just let us know where you're joining us from. If there's more than one of you, maybe what organization you're with, that makes this a little bit more personable and a way for us to get to know who's on today. To embed that chat pod so you don't miss any links or conversations, just simply place that cursor over those shared slides. You'll then see a toolbar pop up across the bottom of your screen. From there, just click that chat bubble icon. So if you're having any issues with that chat, when typing questions or comments, please be sure to select the Everyone from the response options drop-down menu, so everyone's able to view your response in the chat pod. And note that the slides and resources are available for download on the event page for today's session. And we're going to be covering continuing education information. We have lots of CE offerings, and we're going to cover those at the end of today's webinar. So please stay tuned if you are interested in CE credits or a certificate of attendance. So stay tuned. All right, at this time, I'd like to thank you for joining us as we kind of continue our partnership with that Department of Defense and U.S. Department of Agriculture to expand the readiness, knowledge, and networks of the professionals supporting our military service members and their families. I'm going to go ahead and briefly introduce today's presenter. She is not new to our OneOp webinars, and if you were with us last month, she actually provided a great session on Social Security disability. But Rhonda Ramiro began her career with Social Security Administration in 2001 as a supplemental security income claims representative. And in 2014, she became the public affairs specialist for New Mexico and part of West Texas. She serves on SSA's National Alaska Native and American Indian Committee and the Dallas Regional Native American Working Group. She's a native of Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she currently resides. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Rhonda Ramiro.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Rachel. And again, I want to express my thanks for having me again. I always enjoy presenting to this group because the questions are amazing, and I know the type of work you do, and it's so important to everybody. And so it's always a great opportunity when I get to speak, because then you can relay the information I give you to your clients and your contacts. Therefore, I always joke that my job is to dispel any information that your sister-in-law gave you at a party, or ex-sister-in-law or brother-in-law. And so today I was going to discuss and am going to discuss retirement benefits. So Social Security is definitely one of those agencies that we all know a little bit about, but we could always stand to learn a little bit more. One of the best things I feel that people know us for is, of course, retirement benefits and survivor benefits. But there are some rules and guidelines you need to know, so that way you're educated on the program, and when the time comes, you can make the best decision for yourself, or if you're assisting other friends, family members, people in your community. So basics are, first of all, who pays for Social Security? Well, you do. And how does that work? Social Security is a self-funding program, meaning those of us paying into the program today, your FICA taxes, that's who funds the program for individuals that receive a benefit. Now, the amount of benefit they receive is determined by the amount they've paid in FICA taxes over the years. But that's how it runs. It's a circle. Now, Social Security recommends there's building blocks, and it was never intended to be a full source of retirement for anybody. It was, though, intended to supplement individuals' income so it would make it easier for them to retire when it was first developed. Now, building blocks to this is you've got a great base, and think of this like a stool and or even a chair. You need 4 of them in order for that chair to hold you and support you when you have to lean on it. So Social Security, then a pension, savings and investments, and other income. And other income could mean you still decide to work later in life. Now, FICA, what does that stand for? Federal Insurance Contributions Act. And that, of course, is what we see on our paycheck. Um, I always tell the story, and I think it's very common for all of us, where when we first started working, I think I was making like $3.50 an hour. And I open up that first check, this was paper checks, and I look at it and, I'm thinking, okay, 350 times 40 hours, this is what I'm going to get. And it was not that. And then you see what's happened. So FICA taxes are a percentage of your income. And what does that go for? It goes for, I apologize, as my slides are moving along a little faster. Coral, can you help back me up on this? It's not showing me a way to back up on my screen. One more. Awesome. So 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare. You pay 7.65% of that, and your employer pays the other half. Now, if you are self-employed, then you're responsible for that whole 15.3% of your gross wages. Now, percentage-wise, when I'm going to give you these numbers, you're going to see that it's a pretty good value for your money. It's a good bang for your buck, what you get back. We love statistics. We love acronyms. It's our favorite thing to do. Now, it is SSI is Supplemental Security Income. And if you joined my last webinar, I discussed SSI. That's a needs-based program. That comes from the general funds. That's your regular federal taxes. Now, Social Security, what I explained off that FICA taxes, there is probably 62 million people receiving benefits right now each month in the United States. How do you qualify for these benefits? So credits and quarters mean the same thing. And when you work, what you're going to do is you pay into your Social Security by those FICA taxes. You need 10 years of work to get insured, is what I will call it, for retirement benefits. 40 credits, 10 years of work. Now they cost money. So what that means is right now in 2024, a credit costs you $1,730 in gross earnings, meaning you have to pay FICA taxes on that. So how do you get all 4 credits for 2024? You have to earn $6,920 and pay FICA taxes on that. That percentage I told you, that 7.65% is your end and your employer. So 15.3% total. And that's how you get those 4 credits. If you work less than that, then of course it's going to give you 3 credits, depending on how much you work each year. So once you get those 10 years of work, you are eligible for Social Security. It might not be a lot if you never work again after 10 years. So how do we decide your benefit amount? Well, not a lot of people know this, but we don't go off top 3 years like a lot of retirements do. What we do is your 35 highest earnings years. Then we average it monthly. It's an average monthly earning. Then it's about 40% of that. So what we do, you've got to remember 35 years of work, that's including your first job at 16 until what you're making now. And we use all of those earnings. If you work over 35 years before you file for retirement, well, that's great because we just go on the 35 highest years. Now, if you work less than 35 years, we're going to factor some zeros in there to get you to that 35-year level. So if you go over 35, we toss out the low years and we just go on those high years of earnings. Biggest question I get in this job: what is the best age to start receiving these benefits? And I'm going to give you the answer of, well, it depends on a lot of factors, because people wonder, should I take it at 62, which is the earliest to take off your own benefit? I'm going to give you some other information regarding survivor and widowers benefits. Now, depending on when you were born, this example uses age 67 as full retirement. Now, we say that word a lot, and what full retirement means is when you get 100% of what you paid into Social Security. After that, it goes up 8% each year. So you can get, if you hold off till age 70, which is the latest anyone wants to file, you can get 132% of your benefit. Now remember, when you file for Social Security, you lock into that amount and then you just get the cost of living increases. So the only way you get that 8% added on each year is deferring which year you file for benefits. So there's a lot of things you got to look into. Can you afford at age 62 to file for Social Security? Do you have other pensions? There's also some information that's going to help you with this, because if you file below full retirement age, there are some work restrictions, not restrictions, but there's some guidelines, because if you go over a certain amount, you could get a reduced benefit. So this is the chart that will tell you when your full retirement age is. Everyone can retire as early as 62. That's called early retirement or reduced retirement. You get 75% of what you paid in at 62. On the left is your year of birth. The second column is your full retirement age, when you would get that 100%. Now, we're looking at the far right column. Your spouse could be eligible for benefits off your record, but they're only eligible for benefits off your record if half of your benefit would be more than what they're going to get on their own amount. So 50% of yours needs to be more than 100% of theirs. Now remember, anytime, like I said, you file early, you lock into that amount. So how can you figure all this out? You sign up for an account, and I'm going to go over that at the end of the slideshow, and you get on our calculators. There's different types of calculators depending, some people worked for law enforcement and then transitioned into another career. Well, a lot of people that did work into law enforcement, instead of paying into Social Security, they paid into a pension. So they have a different calculation than what I just showed. But they're really helpful. So if you were one of those individuals that maybe worked for federal government before 1983, we call it civil service, or your law enforcement, you could be subject to this windfall elimination provision. And what that is you paid into a pension instead of Social Security. So if you did pay a little bit of Social Security and you're eligible, you're going to get a different computation than anybody else. So just be aware of this if you were in that type of category before. Some
When Rhonda,
individuals,
oh, I'm
yes.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, Raymond asked, or they already have 35 years and will, of course, won't receive Social Security. Am I okay to file past age 62 without a reduction?
You are, but depending on how much if you want to still work and get earnings while you're on retirement benefits, there is a limit. Anything, if you go over, I'll get to the slide. I apologize. I don't have 24 embedded in my brain, 2024. But there is a limit to work before it starts affecting your check if you were to file early. So I hope that answers the question. So you'll have those 35 years, your computation will be great, but it's just a matter of when you file to see if you'll get that full benefit without any reduction. So here we go, working while receiving benefits, $22,320 a year. If you are getting earnings, remember, physically going to work, and you're under your full retirement age, we're going to use 67 as an example, then you can make up to this amount at work, but if you go over it, for every $2 you go over, your retirement benefit will be reduced by $1. Now, this is just earnings. If you file for Social Security and you continue to work and you are under the full retirement age. Now, if you don't file for Social Security and you're under full retirement age, using 67 as the example, you don't have to worry about how much you work. You're just continuously paying in until you file. Now, the good thing about full retirement age is, let's say you hold off filing until 67, but you still want to work. Well, depending on when you file, when your birthday is, you can work and earn as much as you want without it affecting your benefits. So you could get both of those benefits with no reduction. So this is just an example. For somebody that, they're going to get 700 in Social Security, and they earn less than the amount that we showed, then you're going to get that full benefit. But depending on how much you go over it, it does get a reduction. Are you going to pay federal taxes on your retirement benefit? And yes, federal taxes do happen on Social Security benefits. It depends, though, on how much your combined income is. So if it's between 25 and 34,000 as an individual, you may have to pay income tax on up to 50% of your benefit. And more than 34,000, possibly up to 85% of your benefit may be taxable. So that's something else you've got to look into. You file for Social Security, that can up your tax bracket. So this is the computation they use for taxation of benefits. They go on your adjusted gross income, non-taxable interest, and then half of your benefit. That's your combined income. And then they figured the taxes from that. So if you go to irs.gov and type in retirement benefits, Social Security, they're going to give you a calculator also on how much your taxes could possibly be. We can also, when you file for benefits, you can request that we take out the tax ahead of time. So you're not hit with it at the end of the year. Instead, we've been taking it all along out of your benefit amount. When you file a benefit, we can do that. So benefits are available for a spouse. I mentioned that earlier. This is the only way people can collect as a spouse. 50% of the workers, this is unreduced for age, this is going off, let's say, full retirement age of 67. And let's say 50% of that is higher than what the spouse could get on their own benefit at 100%. Then they can claim as a spouse. Now, It doesn't reduce benefits to that individual that they're going to claim off of. But this is how it works. And I use easy math. Let's say your spouse is going to get $1,000. You're only going to get $200 off your own benefit. So $1,000 is their full benefit. 500 would be the amount that you could possibly be eligible for, depending on age. You're going to only get $200 off your own record, full amount. Well, what we can do is you can file as a spouse, meaning you'll get 200 and we'll raise you up $300 off your spouse's record to get you to that 50%. Now, it doesn't reduce your spouse's benefit. Now, let's say your spouse is going to get $1,000. You're going to get $1,000 also. Well, then you're going to receive way more off your own record than that 50% of 500. So we pay you on your own record.
Rhonda, we
So
do have a few
yes,
questions, and
sure,
hopefully we can go through a few of them. And then
sure,
if we may do questions throughout the session today, because I know there's quite a few, and this is always a hot topic. So bear with us,
of course.
y'all on that are on. So I'm just going to kind of go in order as they've come through, and you might have answered this already. But if someone is under the WEP and their spouse isn't, does this affect the spouse's or spousal survivor benefit?
No. So if their spouse isn't under the WEP, then if something happens, let's say to you, then your spouse would be able to file off your benefit as a widower if it's higher than their own, or at age 60 before they file on their own benefit at age 62. So the offset, the WEP, goes away with the number holder. So it follows the number holder, as far as them filing as spouse on spousal benefits. But once that number holder passes, that offset goes away with them. So it won't affect that spouse's amount.
Okay, thank you. If a retired military member with full retirement pension takes Social Security at 62, will benefits be reduced if they're earning more than 22,000 in pension income?
So no, their pension is not going to affect Social Security. The only thing that will affect Social Security is wages. If you're physically going and earning an income, that's the benefit that you'll see a reduction if you go over that 22,230.
And I'm going to do a couple more and then we'll let you keep
Sure.
going. But how do you add taxes to be taken out after the fact? An individual said their mom recently ran across this when she forgot to have taxes withheld and is struggling to find where to go to update this so that taxes are taken out going forward.
Have her just call the office, or the 1-800 number. And all she has to do is give them some information and she can request the amount to be taken out. It's very easy. And then usually, depending on when she calls, by the next check, she'll see that.
Okay, and we're going to do one more question and then we're going to hold those that have come through to another section. But one more question before you begin again is this individual's question relates to clients who were stay-at-home parents who worked less than 35 years. Am I understanding correctly that the years they did not work are calculated as zero monthly income when calculating their average highest income for Social Security benefits?
Yes. So it factors into their amount. So yes, if it's below 35 years, they will factor zeros into those. But if they're married, depending on the amount of time, if they're currently married and they file a benefit, on for a benefit, they could possibly go on their spouse's record, or even if they're divorced, there's a possibility.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to hold some of the questions until a little bit later, so I'll let you keep going.
Sure. So here we go. Now, I mentioned spouses can get benefits, but if we were live and I could hear you, you would be oohing and ahhing or cheering. It's a boo hiss or it's a cheer for this one. Benefits for divorced spouses. Now, yes, there is a possibility you as a divorced spouse or your ex-spouse could get a benefit off your record, but there is some criteria that has to be met in order for that to happen. Now, the marriage has to be 10 years, 10 years or more. You have to be currently unmarried or they have to be unmarried. Whoever's claiming on that benefit has to be unmarried. Of course, you have to be 62 and your ex-spouse is at least 62 and eligible for benefit. It doesn't mean they're actively collecting, but they have to be 62. So if you're eligible, you meet all that, it still has to follow that 50% of their benefit has to be more than what you would get on your own benefit at 100%. So that's the only way you can claim on theirs. Now, even if your ex-spouse is remarried, but you are not, you can still claim on their benefit if half of their benefit is more than what you would receive on your own. It doesn't reduce their benefit, even though I know we all would want that to happen. It doesn't reduce their benefit. Also, even if the divorce decree says that you're not eligible for their retirement benefit, Social Security doesn't fall under that because it is not harming them in any way. It's not reducing the benefit they're going to receive on their own, even if you're claiming on it. Now, deemed filing, what that means is if you qualify for both retirement and spouses or divorced spouses, you have to apply for everything. So you can't say, I want to go on the lower benefit and then switch to mine and get a higher benefit when I get older. Nope, you got to file for the highest benefit possible. Now, this is when you are alive. There are very different rules as for widowers. Now, voluntary suspension. Some individuals will suspend their benefit and then they want to get delayed retirement credits, meaning some more money adding as they work to add to their benefit amount. Now, what's going to happen with this is if they are to suspend that benefit, then everybody who is on that benefit, their amount will be suspended also. Back in the day, it used to be somebody would say, I'm going to suspend mine, but all my children or dependents can receive a benefit off my record or my spouse. They're going to continue to get a check, but I won't. Well, if you suspend, everybody gets stopped now. And all of these changes are to extend the trust fund. That's the reason they're always doing these changes. Now, government pension offset, it's similar to the question that was asked before. This is what affects spouses, widows, and widowers. So if you're the individual that didn't pay into a pension, and didn't pay into Social Security, but you paid into a pension like we had discussed earlier, this offset follows you. So if your spouse passes away and you file, you're still going to be offset on their benefit. Now, if it's the reverse and you pass away, you're the one that has that offset applied to you. So your spouse is going to be able to apply on your benefit without that happening. Now, survivor benefits. This is a big one for questions. Not a lot of people know about survivor benefits, or at least the rules. Now, if something happens to an individual and they've worked and paid into Social Security and they have a minor child, that minor child can receive benefits if they remain unmarried or they're younger than age 18, or let's say they turn 18 when in December, but they're still in high school until May, so they're going to be 19. They can receive benefits until they graduate. They have to be a full-time student. They can get survivor benefits off the parent that passed away. Many years ago, people used to get benefits if they went to college after age 18, and they would continue to receive these survivor benefits, but that stopped back during the Reagan administration. Now, If your child, let's say they receive benefits, they become disabled prior to age 22, this is as a survivor. Maybe you pass away when they're age 20, but we determine them disabled at that age. That's before age 22. They can receive benefits off of your record. Now, a widower or even your divorced widower, that's another ooh and ah one, can receive benefits. So at age 60, a widower can apply if they were married for 9 months or more and the spouse passed away during the marriage. They can apply for benefits. Now, it's early as age 60 or 50 if they have a disability. Now, divorced widowers can also file for benefits. Now, they have to, if they remarry, it has to be after age 60, and they can claim as a widow off that ex-spouse. Now, what survivor benefits can do is you can claim as early, like I said, as age 60, you get 71.5%. So it's higher for survivors. Survivors receive more benefits because we look at them as they're going to be the only earner in the household because the other earner has passed away. Now, the benefit increases each month they wait to not receive a benefit, and up to 100% of the individual's benefit at full retirement age. This is much different than that 50% benefit. So an example of what individuals will do is you can receive a survivor benefit at age 60. And then what you can do as a survivor, there's different rules, you can let your benefit grow at that 8% each year and wait to file on your benefit till age 70 after it's passed the benefits you're receiving as a survivor off your deceased spouse's record, and then hop over to your own. That's what my mom did. She filed as a widow at age 60 because my dad passed away very young. And then what she was able to do is she worked for many years to get in more quarters. And then at age 65, she hopped over to her own benefit because it went above what my dad would have received because she had more earnings by that time. Now we're going to switch to children. Auxiliary benefits for children. Now, auxiliary means the parent is still alive. So a child, of course, must have a parent that's entitled to either disability or retirement, or a parent that passed away. Now, these are the benefits available for kids. They still have to meet this criteria, whether they're survivors or whether their parents are receiving disability or retirement. They have to be unmarried, younger than 18, or if they are 18, they have to be in high school, but it's not going to go past age 19 and when they graduate. There are other survivor benefits available with Social Security. Lump sum death payments of $255, that's the surviving spouse, or minor children. Parents' benefits are available. I've never seen that happen, but you have to prove support. So if you had a child, an adult child that was supporting you for many years, it's proven on the taxes, there's a possibility they could get some sort of survivor benefits. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, you can receive those survivor benefits as early as age 60, and they increase at a, they are increased more depending on age. So 50% if your spouse is living, 71.5% if your spouse is deceased. And like I said, it goes up each month you defer receiving a benefit. Like I mentioned, you can take it as early as age 60 and then switch to your own record as early as age 62 or as late as age 70. You can choose at age 62 to even go off your own record and then switch to the survivor ones if it's higher. So you have that option as a survivor where we don't have that option if the spouse is still alive. Now, Medicare. I do a quick blurb about Medicare because we're the gatekeepers of Medicare, meaning we don't know anything about the plan in the sense of who it pays, when it pays. All we do is we sign you up for it, and then we're able to, if you're receiving a retirement benefit, we take that premium out of your check. So A is hospital insurance. Usually if you've paid in a bit, that's going to be free. So you want to file for that at age 65. Even if you're still working and receiving a health plan, you might as well file for it because it's free. Now, B is the meat and potatoes. That's your actual medical insurance. That you can file for as early as age 65. But let's say you're still working and getting a plan under employment, or you're receiving, you're under a plan with your spouse who's currently employed. You can hold off receiving that benefit until it turns into retiree health. Then you want to get in the door within 8 months, because if you don't file for Medicare after that, there's a penalty of 10% each year you defer filing. Part D is a drug plan. Basic vanilla Medicare, that's A and B, there isn't a drug plan with it. That's just pure medical expenses. So you would have to add a Part D plan. Now, some people do supplemental plans, which are Part C Advantage plans. I call them designer Medicare because they'll include a little bit of everything in them. Now, how do you get on Medicare? Age 65, but you can also receive Medicare after receiving SSDI, Social Security Disability, for 2 years. So you have to be getting a payment and then you're eligible after 2 years. So you could be 40 on disability and be receiving Medicare. If you have Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, you get Medicare right away, regardless of age. Same with kidney failure going into dialysis. You will receive Medicare immediately, but you have to file for it. So how do you apply for benefits? Best way right now is online. It is the quickest way. Now you can't file for survivor benefits online, so you have to call and make an appointment. That's because it's just a little more difficult technically. So we walk you through it. Otherwise, you can file online, but if you prefer to speak to somebody, you can call the national number or your local office and make an appointment. Right now, most offices are booked out between 30 to 60 days. So you probably want to call ahead if you're going to want to speak to somebody and schedule an appointment. This is what our website looks like. It used to have all these pictures and a lot more writing, but we're really simplifying everything we do. And we're trying to use plain language and not use our government love language of acronyms and terms that are only familiar to us. So it's very easy to go there. Now,
Rhonda, oh,
oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. No, no,
No,
no, I
go
was
ahead.
wondering if we could take a few questions at this
Sure,
time
of course.
as you're transitioning, because I don't want to get too far with some of the topics that individuals had questions about. Um, so if someone worked 10 years paying the FICA taxes but hasn't worked for numerous years after, do they still qualify for Social Security?
Okay, so I apologize. Could you read it again?
Sure. If someone worked their 10 years paying the FICA taxes, but hasn't worked for numerous years after, do they still qualify for Social Security?
Yes, because once you pay into that amount, you're vested in. The only time there is a reduction and it does change is if you went into the type of retirement where you didn't pay in, but you were paying into a pension instead, then it changes. But if you just work those 10 years, yes, you did get insured to file on them for retirement.
And I think you touched on this question already, but I'm going to say it just to make sure. For the divorced spouse's benefit, does being widowed count as unmarried?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does military 20-year retirement applies to Social Security offset?
I don't know. I apologize. That would mean if you were paying into Social Security during the time that you were paying into your military pension, it won't be offset. But if you weren't paying into Social Security and strictly into that military pension, then there's a possibility of it being offset. But usually I believe it's not.
And going back to kind of the survivor benefits regarding widowed and divorced spouses, does survivor benefits go towards current widow as well as divorced spouses, both at 100%?
Okay, read that one to me again. I'm adding it up in
Sure.
my head.
No, that's okay. So does survivor benefits go towards current widow as well as divorced spouse, married 10 years, both at 100%?
I'm kind of confused by the question
Okay.
that they're asking. So can we return to it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and return
Okay.
to that one. Um, can you file for survivor benefits at 60 and switch to spouse benefits from new marriage at full retirement age?
Yes, you can if you were married after age 60 to that spouse.
And there was a comment regarding military, excuse me, there was a comment regarding military retirees. Military retirees do not need to sign up for Medicare Part D because they have their TRICARE pharmacy benefit, but they must sign up for Parts A and B to get TRICARE for life. And that was just
Oh,
a note.
oh, good. Thank you.
And Santino asked the question, what are your thoughts on the argument that people putting away the same amount into a relatively modest investment of their own could get a much larger return than what the Social Security insurance is paying?
So on that one, I don't really comment on it because I don't know enough about that. I just go off of Social Security Administration and what our amounts are. So I apologize. I don't do my thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to go through a couple of more. There was an individual that's watching on YouTube that asked the question, someone has a pension that allows Social Security leveling. Is there a limit on how much a person can earn if they work before full retirement age?
Now, I'm not sure what they mean by Social Security leveling.
Okay. Maybe that person can give us a
Yes,
little
if you
bit
could
more
just,
information.
yes.
Okay. And Beth asked the question, does military retirement pay count toward the earn $2 loss, $1 Social Security?
No, because it is a retirement benefit. It's only wages that go towards that.
Okay, we have a few more, but let's hold off on those. I know Kimberly, Laura, and Claudia asked some questions. I'm going to hold those for a little bit and let you get through a few more slides.
Great. And it's not too much longer because I know we probably have tons more questions. So my Social Security, that is what you would sign up for to get an account with us. And these are the services it offers. So if you're receiving benefits or you're just on Medicare, what you can do is you can update everything on my Social Security. You can get out of mail notices, go to just for email. You can actually get a replacement Social Security card if you sign up for a My Social Security account. Anybody can do that. Now, you have to be a citizen and you have to be over age 18. You can also get your benefit verification. So let's say you're getting retirement benefits. Well, you can get a printout of what you receive if you need that for a loan, for housing, information like that. A lot of people do request that each year. There are a lot of services on my Social Security that you can do yourself instead of calling the office. Now, if you need a replacement Medicare card, maybe you're helping your parents with stuff and you sit there with them and you help them sign up for a Social Security account, you can get that replacement card. And you can also get a 1099 to help them file their taxes this year. You can also look at your benefit amount. So the statement we mail you is limited. It's only above a certain age now, and we mail it every year. But before, if you were below age 62, you would get that statement. Well, now you have to go online to see it. It has changed. So if you are getting it in the mail, let's say you're 64 and you're not getting any benefits from us, we're going to mail it to you. It does look a little different. So I'll show you what it looks like now, just so it doesn't throw you off and you think it's some sort of spam mailing. This is what the new statement looks like. We give you all your earnings amounts. We also graph everything now. So there's a lot more detail. There's a lot more information. It'll also give you our website, to go to the calculators, start planning. That way you can get all your ducks in a row for age 62. Now, we also have, like I said, those fact sheets. So it looks at workers that are subject to that WEP. Now, if you're also not fully insured, it's going to let you know how many quarters you need to get that full vested in of those 10 years. Depending on your age group, it will show you everything. And it really is informative. It's also nice to go online and see what you're going to get, because I know when I used to love receiving that in the mail, because, then you kind of go and brag to everybody, to all your kids, that how much they're going to get if anything happens to you. At least I did, but that's probably because I work for Social Security. So we're a little bit different than other people. So now I think, wow, ended a little earlier than I thought. So we have plenty of room for questions, or if there's something you do want me to elaborate on a little more.
Perfect. All right. So we do have a few minutes, and that's exciting. So we can answer some of the questions that have come through. And please, those of you that are on, if I don't ask the question correctly, feel free to correct me in the chat, and we'll try and make sure that Rhonda understands it as well. So one of the questions was, does a federal employee retirement pension apply to the 22,000? Oh, I think you answered this one, but we're
Yes,
going to
yes,
ask it again.
sure.
Does the federal employee retirement pension apply to the 22,000 annual max income limit when taking Social Security benefits at 62?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's only wages. Yes. So that one won't affect it at all.
Do survivor benefits go to current spouses as well as a divorced spouse, an equal amount? Both get paid from the deceased person's Social Security.
Yes. So there is a cap on it. So like I said, think of it as a pie. And that's an excellent question. So you're going to get 1,000, let's say there's $1,000 for survivors and it's one pie. Well, that doesn't mean each survivor is going to get, $1,000. There's a cap on what they could receive. So if there's, two children and a spouse and another divorced spouse, they all get a piece of that pie. So it will be an equal amount, but it's divided up a little more. The more people on it, the more it's going to get divided.
Okay. So scenario, a person was married and divorced, then remarried, and the new spouse is now a widow. Do both former spouses get benefits at 100%?
It depends on their age. So it depends on when they file for benefits.
Okay.
They could both get, yes, that much if they meet the criteria. So yes, well, it'll be 100%, but like I said, there is a max on what they can receive depending on how many people that are on the benefit.
How can you calculate what the 50% spouse benefit would be from an ex-spouse?
So that's kind of tough because you can't really sign up or look at their account since it is an ex. Um, Usually you kind of have to go on if the spouse passes and you provide the marriage documentation to us, yes, we can look that up in the office. But if they're alive, that's you would have to bring in the divorce decree and we can give you an estimate also, but you would have to bring in the divorce decree. So
Okay.
yeah, you can't do it online, sadly.
And Addie asked the question, any updates on the Social Security is going to run out by 2035? Is this a rumor?
So it is a rumor, but I usually will include that, but I didn't, but I will talk on it. So that 2035 year is a great year to have in mind. And what's predicted to happen, and this is if Congress doesn't do a thing from now. This is if Congress, in the next 10 years doesn't make a decision, Social Security will be reduced by about 20%. That's how much it will be reduced. That's the worst case scenario we're going off of. And each year, the trustee report tells us what's going to happen. And you can actually look at that online. So that's the worst case scenario is the trust fund. What's happening is we have so many baby boomers coming on is back in the day when we had this huge slush fund of money, we had 5 people paying in to Social Security. Remember, I was telling you about that circle of self-funding for one person that was receiving. Right now, we are at 3 people paying in. So there's 3 of us working. We're paying for one of your parents receiving a benefit. Now, by 2034, it's going to go to 2 people paying in. So that's what's happening with the trust fund. It's not that we are lavishly spending the trust fund or, that's what's been happening. We have less people paying into the system and more people taking out. So yes, the rumor is it's not a rumor. It will go down by 20%, but only if Congress doesn't make a decision. And those decisions can include, maybe raising the FICA tax rate, maybe for people coming into the workforce, that wouldn't happen to us right now where they would change the early retirement or the full retirement. They're going to have to make adjustments. We just don't know what it will be.
Thank you.
Sure.
And we've had some questions regarding Medicare.
Okay.
Um, and our in-house Medicare subject matter expert has also been posting in the chat and responding to some
Awesome.
folks. So that's great to know. Thank you, Andy, for that. Um, one of them being, what is the best resource for pros and cons of Medicare C and supplements? Or is there no difference between the two?
Okay, I lost. Okay, so pros and cons of Medicare C. Now, really, I don't advise on the C, the Advantage plans. It's, they're more of where they're going to combine that drug plan. So it would be one payment, instead of 2 different payments, which you can do. And Medicare.gov is a great resource. And I go to that. So because I'm Social Security, everybody in my family and in my whole town comes to me for help to file. So Medicare, like I said, I answer general questions, but I go to Medicare.gov to help them figure out what plan is going to be the best. So you go to that site and then you're going to punch in your zip code. It's going to pull up all the Part C plans, everything you can, all the D plans, everything. And you can do a comparison, kind of like you do when you shop for cars. It's awesome. And so that's where I go to help friends. So I would suggest Medicare.gov, and it says, look at plans, and you just pop your zip code in and it's going to pull all of that. You even put in your medications, doctors you like to see. It's a really great website.
All right. Well, it looks like most of the questions are coming in through Medicare, which, again, our subject matter expert, Andy, is on it and responding to those questions. Um, what I'm going to do at this point, since we have about 6 more minutes, I need to briefly cover continuing education credits and our next upcoming event. And so if you have questions, feel free to please continue them in the chat. If they're regarding Medicare, I know that Andy is responding, so let us know as well. But briefly, just for CE credits and certificates of attendance, we are offering lots of them for today's 60-minute session. What you're going to be able to do is go to our event page. I've posted that link in the chat several times. I'll get it here posted again shortly. But our event page where you can find today's PowerPoint slides, any resources, whether it's to the PAO offices that are state specific for you, or a link to our recorded session on Social Security disability, as well as all of today's information. It's all on this one event page. You're going to be able to find everything you need, hopefully, that we've talked about or discussed today on this event page, including that CE information. There's going to be a beautiful purple button that says continue education. You may have to refresh your page here shortly. As well, but we are offering CE credits for social workers, LPCs, LMFTs, case managers, patient advocates, those that are in financial counseling. We have AFCPE as well as CPFCs. It's a lot of acronyms here, and certified family consumer sciences, certified personal and family finance educators, certified family life educators, and those of you that are just needing a certificate of attendance to provide to your supervisors or to show that you've joined today's session, we are offering certificates of attendance as well. Santino, yes, AFCs, you will be able to receive CE credit for AFCs. What you'll need to do is once you go to our page and click on that CE or Continuing Education purple button, you will be taken to a survey. Let us know how we did today, good, bad, ugly. We want to know so we can improve. And then also maybe what are some future topics that you'd like to hear from us on. Once you complete that survey, you'll be then prompted to identify which CE credit or certificate of attendance you would like to receive. And then you're going to be able to get an automatically generated certificate. However, if you have any tech issues, please reach out to me at oneopmilitarycaregiving@gmail.com. I am happy to assist you in any way with any tech support in receiving those CE credits or certificates. So please send me an email to that account, and I have popped it in the chat as well. All right, upcoming event. So April is Month of the Military Child. So mark your calendar as we are going to be discussing how to improve your health and wellness by getting outside. So we're going to highlight some of the latest health and nature research and make a case for why we need to get back into the great outdoors regularly. CE credit is going to be available for that session as well. So join us next month, April 17th. To get outside. And Coral has posted that link as well. Thank you for everyone that's been posting resources and kind of learning from each other. Thank you, Andy, on the Medicare information and resources. Rhonda, thank you so much for today's session and information. If anyone has any questions, whether it's regarding Social Security, regarding Medicare, send me an email to that oneopmilitarycaregiving@gmail.com email address, and I am happy to answer any of those questions. And yes, please feel free to share these slides, share the link to the Learn event page with your colleagues and peers or families and caregivers. This information is open to the public. And if you know somebody that's missed today's session, the recording will be posted. Give us about a day or 2 business days to get that recording posted. We won't send out an announcement. You're just going to have to check back on our event page. But anyone that's missed are able to watch the recording and still receive CE credit. So, all right. a lot of information that we covered. Thank you again, everyone that's attended this event. Y'all have been fabulous in the chat with lots of questions and comments. So I appreciate all of you. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Rhonda, thank you so much for your expertise and continuing supporting our OneOp project. So,
Thank you again for having me. I always look forward to it.
all right. So we are at the top of the hour. We're going to go ahead and begin closing out of today's session. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.